Hey guys, how you doing? It's me again. I am back. But today I'm going to be talking about something a little different. It's still within the paranormal genre of what I was talking about the last time I was on YouTube. But this one is dealing with UFOs and the UFOs that I have seen. Now, to all of my UFO watchers out there, I know you out there. And I know you have seen a lot of things. I know you had a lot of things on video. Unfortunately, I don't. I'm sorry to say, but I can only give you information on the accounts that I have that has happened to me. Stuff that I have seen over the past years that I've been here in Georgia or elsewhere. Okay. Now this is also for all you skeptics out there that don't believe that there's other life out there. Trust me, there is. Believe you me, I can tell, I know, and whatever. I know a lot of skeptics out there need proof and science to prove all that. But I can assure you that if you have seen the things that I have seen and all the other UFO, people out there who I admire, trust me, I've seen some of your videos and it's very credible, and I love them. Believe you me. Okay. Now, getting on with what I have seen. I've seen a lot over the years. Okay. Now, the first time I really started seeing some stuff that I actually noticed, this was when I was living in Reston, Virginia at the time, which is 22 minutes away from DC. I was coming from my Taekwondo class at the time, 17 years old. Okay, just graduated high school. My mom comes to pick me up. We drive home, and on our way home, I happen to be looking up into the sky to my right, from the window in the car, and I see this huge round sphere that looks like the moon. It's bright, I mean, shining bright just like the moon. Okay, I look at it, I said, oh, okay, that's the moon. Okay, it's a big deal. I mean, I see it all the time, even through my telescope. So I just be like, okay, whatever. Keep on driving. We driving and driving and driving. And I keep looking up, and it's still there. And you know how when you look up at the moon, whatever, and it looks like it's following you because it's just that huge. You can't seem to get away from it. That's basically what it was doing. It was just that big. Okay, we get home. My mom parks. We both get out the car. I look up, and all of a sudden, there it was right there, right above my complex. Okay, and it's huge, just like the moon, and it's still just as bright as the moon. Okay, but I noticed that there was these two stars directly underneath it, on the left and the right. Okay, so I said, okay, it's still the moon. So I walk inside my apartment. I go in my room. I change out of my karate gi, get into my clothes. It's the middle of the summer. Okay, I believe it was probably maybe July at the time. Something in the back of my mind tells me to hurry up and run back outside quick. So I run back outside, and I'm standing directly in the same spot where I was before. I look up into the area where I saw this huge white orb that was shining bright like the moon. And it was gone, people. It was gone. And I am standing there in awe because I'm like, what in the world just happened here? I was looking at this moon, and all of a sudden it disappears. Now, keep in mind, people, it was a very clear night. There was not one cloud in the sky. Okay? And you can see all the stars. And the funniest thing is, every star I would see in Virginia was always in the form of a triangle. You see a star here and two stars here. So, and I've heard that there are accounts of uh, seeing triangular shaped UFOs, you know, that just be moving around in the sky. But it was always just sitting there. I mean, I'm not saying that's what that was, but it's just something to think about. But anyway, so I'm looking at this. I was like, what the heck? I mean, it's gone. I mean, where did it go? I mean, okay, obviously there wasn't no moon, right? Right. So 2 seconds or maybe 10 seconds later, I look straight up, and I just noticed that there were these two bright lights moving above my head, blinking in sequence like this: blink, 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 blink. Okay. Now, little lesson, people, for all those who don't believe in UFOs. Keep in mind, Planes make noise when they're moving across the sky, okay? When you see those lights moving across the sky that's blinking red and blue and green, and you can tell that it's a plane, right? It's moving across the sky, but 2 seconds later you hear the sound of the engines moving directly behind it because sound travels fast. But when the object is moving away from it, sound comes right in behind it. You can hear the roar of the engines, okay? That's what you hear. But what I heard was nothing, okay? UFOs don't make a sound because they, whatever kind of energy or what kind of fuel they use, it don't make this craft make any noise. Okay, so all I saw was just, all I saw was lights. I didn't see no craft, nothing, because it's the night sky. So, whatever it was being camouflaged by the night sky. Okay. So anyway, like I said, this thing is moving very slowly over my head, and those lights are just blinking in sequence, right? So I'm like, holy crap. And it's moving this way, probably like due north, I believe. So something told me, follow it, see where it's going. So I did. I'm following this thing, and I'm walking out of the complex. Okay, I had to walk all the way up front. I walked out into the street. I cross the street. There's a basketball court directly across the street where we all play basketball at. I move it. I'm still moving. I can still see it. I'm going through a path, and then there's a complex directly behind that golf course. I mean the basketball court. I follow it all the way to the other end of that complex in the back. Where you see a 7-Eleven on the right. All of a sudden I see clouds, and I get disappointed because it moved directly over the clouds and just disappears. Now, that was my very first visual UFO experience. Okay, I think they call that close encounters of the first kind. Never had the others, thank goodness. Just don't want to go through that. But anyway, another account that I had. Let me see. Let me think. Oh yes, I was just happened to be looking up in the sky, and I happened to see a tiny little blue light. Well, it was kind of like a tingy blue, like a bluish gray light moving across the sky. It was bright enough for me to see, though, and it was moving across the night sky, very, very, very high up. I have never seen a plane move that high. I've seen planes fly pretty high, but keep in mind, people, the difference between a UFO and a plane. When a plane is moving across the sky, like I said earlier, it makes a sound. You can see the plane going by, then 2 seconds or 3 seconds later, you hear the roar of the engines coming in right in behind it. Okay, sound travels a little different than light. Okay, or solid mass. I don't know all the quantum physics of that criteria, but I just know that when you see a plane, it makes a noise. When you see a UFO, it doesn't. Okay, so that's one way to tell the difference between a UFO and a plane. Our planes and our other aircraft. Moving on. Now, I see this light moving across the sky, and it's not making a noise or nothing like that. It is very, very, very high up, almost like it's moving across the top portion of our atmosphere, above the earth. Okay. I used to see stuff like this all the time. I just be happening to look up, and I see something moving across the sky that shouldn't be there. It's not a plane. It's not a star. And I know what a shooting star looks like. A shooting star is actually just a meteorite shooting down from space. Okay, that's what that is. But anyway, moving on to another account. This was in the same state that I live in Western Virginia, I believe. But anyway, I'm in a complex. There's a golf course directly behind that complex. At the patio window, I'm looking out, and I see a huge white ball of light hovering above the golf course. This ball of light comes down into the center of the golf course and lands right there. And this sucker is huge. It's probably about the size of a I won't say a bus, or like maybe an SUV or something like that, or probably bigger. I couldn't really tell, and I'm not good with measurements in that area. But anyway, something told me to go out there and find and see what that is. So I run out the apartment. I run around to the side of the building, run to the back, and there's a pathway that leads to a bridge that crosses over a creek that separates the golf course from my complex. I stayed back a little ways because I didn't want them to notice me, or they might try to abduct me or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, I see this thing. It's this huge ball of light, and it's bright, and it's like it looked like it was pulsating at one point. But I could see these figures move out from behind it, and they moving into the front. And I guess I don't know, stepped on a twig or something like that, or they must have sensed me, off in the distance. But I saw them move around the back and disappear. All of a sudden, this thing levitates off the ground, say about maybe 5 minutes later, and then it shoots off into the air, and it just disappears, into space. Okay, weird, but I'm glad I saw it. I was amazed. I was like, wow, my eyes were like this, just like that. But anyway, okay. Now, another experience I had. I was living at that time when I had this experience. I believe I was in Georgia, maybe. I think I was in Georgia. Yeah. Okay. Another experience I had, which was, big, but big to me because it was like I just kept seeing a lot of stuff. I'm driving. I happen to look up into the sky and I see there's the moon. And this time, this actually was the moon. Okay, I could see the craters on it and everything, all those little gray spots that be on it. And I'm seeing something underneath it. It was like a light moving underneath it. Okay, at 6 o'clock, and then it starts to move underneath it like this and curves up and moves into like a 2 o'clock position. And I was like, whoa, okay. And I had to keep my eyes on the road, of course. It was at nighttime, of course. And so I just kind of like, okay, I saw it. Okay, good. Same situation happened years later. I happened to be going to my mother's house. I walk up the front steps of the front of our house, and I happen to look up to the left of me, and I see there's a full moon out there. Okay? Same thing. I see this bright light moving underneath it, and it moves up into a 2 or 3 o'clock angle, and it disappears out of the atmosphere. 2 seconds later, I see a streak of light shooting off into space and disappears. Where do you see that at, people? Right here, obviously. The place I lived at before was the UFO hotspot, in Virginia. And I saw stuff all the time. And it was nothing really big except for that one experience where I saw those two lights. But other than that, I see these lights moving around in the sky that just, they're just there. It's not planes. It's not helicopters because you would have heard the helicopter. But anyway, another experience I had, let's see. Oh, yeah. I was looking at the Orion's constellation. Now, along with the Orion's constellation is the Orion Nebula, which is, okay, you got your 3 stars, 1, 2, 3. And then you have Orion's sword, I guess the holster where he had his sword at. And directly below that star on this side is another star below it, which would be his sword. And directly below that, or in between the sword and the belt, was the Orion's constellation. The Orion's Nebula. And when you look at it through a telescope, it looks like a bluish, like blue-grayish haze of gas that's like right there. And you see like a ball, I actually saw some lights, like stars in between it. You can see these little bright lights on the inside of it. And I believe it was like right between the belt line and the sword itself, like right in this area. Here's your star, and here's the area where the other star is. But anyway, I'm looking in that area. I see this light moving around that area, and it's moving in this elliptical, like pattern. It move down real slow, then it would shoot up at top speed, and then slow down and move down this way, and then shoot over here and move slow, then shoot that way, and it was just going in all these crazy moves, like figure eights and straight lines and loops, all kinds of crazy movements. Now, to all the skeptics out there that would say, "Oh, it was just something that the government did," you know what? I don't believe that, because you want to know why? The government hides a lot of things dealing with UFOs, aliens, the Anunnaki, all kinds of stuff, even the Say rays. I'll get to that in a minute. Don't worry about that. Anyway, they have a lot of technology that they don't tell us about. Just like Area 51, they have a lot of UFOs that's probably docked in one of their bunkers. We don't know that. I haven't been there, but I know. I'm not gonna say I know people that have, but I've seen the documentaries on the History Channel and all that stuff where they had all these videos of them getting to a certain point, where they can see all this stuff going on. I don't think that they had that kind of technology. And if they do, they reverse engineered it for different kinds of aircraft dealing with the military, like F-16s or whatever the case may be, even tanks or helicopters. Okay. Now, I'm not saying they don't. I'm not saying they do, but they're not going to tell us about it. And I know they're not going to use it, because if they did, that'll let everybody know that they do have that kind of technology. But the most I can tell you is that they either reverse engineer or they stole it from them. So who knows? I mean, hey, all I can say is that's what I know. But anyway, I can tell you that there is going to be a disclosure from what I hear. I listen to Coast AM with George Norrie every single night. That is a very good radio show. They have a lot of credible scientists, authors, doctors, all kinds of stuff that deal with these things. The UFOs. They be digging into ancient astronauts from outer space, like the Anunnaki. And recently, I heard about this other race of very tall, 18-foot, like human-looking people called the Sayrays, who can travel through dimensions and do all kinds of stuff, that we can't do. They are part of this disclosure I just spoke of. I don't know when it's gonna happen. I don't know where, but this person that I heard on Coast to Coast AM, which comes on at 1 o'clock. If you ever want to check it out, you might want to do that, because it's a very good show. Very good show. But anyway, George Norrie just gave you a plug. Call me. Anyway, anyway, like I said, there's supposed to be some kind of disclosure in that area. I'm not sure when it's going to happen or where, but that is something that he said that he is going to happen, because he has had contact with these people through the mind. I guess they be sending him all these visions, or he has contacted them through some type of mental telepathy or whatever. But at the same time, all I can say is I have seen things. Okay, I do know that UFOs are real, and I do know that I would rather call them either linear spacecraft, spaceships, or flying saucers. I wouldn't want to call them UFOs, because we know what they are. We've seen them. They're these disc-shaped, space, flying saucers. That's what they are to us, flying saucers. I'm pretty sure they call it something else. What they call it, I don't know. But I wouldn't. If we know what it is, I wouldn't call it UFO. I never have really. But I can say that I have seen that in the sky. I hate that I don't have any videos for you guys, but my word is very credible. I can guarantee you that. I would never come on here and talk about something that isn't true. Okay? I firmly believe in telling the truth. I've always been that way, ever since I was a kid. Okay? But I can easily tell you that I have seen UFOs. I have seen ghosts. I have seen all kinds of stuff. I haven't seen the Hat Man yet. The shadowy guy that watches you all the time. Then they call it. That's what they call him, the Hat Man. He's like some shadowy figure. I haven't seen that yet, thank goodness. But anyway, like I was saying, I have seen a lot of things over the years. I've seen these type of UFOs, and I've seen all kinds of stuff. I've even seen an exploding star through my high-powered telescope for the very first time in my entire life, and I'm telling you, that was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. I loved it. And I just happened to be looking in a certain part of the sky, and boom, I saw a bright star in the sky, or a sun in the sky, and it just exploded. Now, I'm gonna go through that a little bit. When you see a sun in the night sky from way up in the distance, let's just say that sun is, I'd say 30,000 light years or more away from our viewing position. The light from that particular sun took 30,000 years to reach us. So therefore, if you see it explode, that means that star exploded 30,000 years ago. That's a very long time, but it took the light just that long to reach us. And we just now seen it explode from 30,000 years ago. It boggles the mind, yes, I know, but still, it is what it is. I do a lot of studying up on this stuff, and believe you me, it boggles the mind, just to see something like that. And to know that those stars way out there are so old that they're probably already dead. That we won't see them explode for another 30,000 years. So when we see the light from that explosion, it's already been dead for 30,000 years. Weird, huh? But anyway. Now, for the ones who have done a lot of digging on certain things and just happen to see a unmarked black helicopter flying over their head, if you have had that happen to you, let me know. Send me a comment, or I want to see your video. I would love to see it. Now, it has happened to me. I do a lot of digging up on stuff that we ain't supposed to really be digging up on, like government conspiracies on UFOs and flying saucers, whatever you want to call it, aliens. You know, do a lot of digging on the internet. I listen to Coast to Coast AM all the time. I mean, every night, and I've been doing that for about maybe 4 years now. Okay, actually, more like 2-3 years actually. But anyway, one day I was at the grocery store and I was coming out, going to my car, and all of a sudden this helicopter I heard flying over my head. And when I looked at it, it was a unmarked black helicopter. And you can see it as plain as day. They were low enough for you to tell that it was a unmarked black helicopter. And those only show up when there's a UFO in the area, or if you are digging into something you ain't supposed to be digging into, and they know exactly where you are, your exact position, and they fly right over your head just so that you'll know that they know where you are. This happened to me again 2 years later, where they flew directly over my apartment. Now, granted, if they knew where you were, any other helicopter would have been flying in the area where you are, but not directly over here. I just found that to be very weird that both times they flew directly over my head instead of in the area where I would actually see them. But he or she flew directly over my head every single time, just so that I know that they can pinpoint my location no matter where I am. Now, I know they have that kind of technology. They probably picked up a signal from my laptop, or maybe I got a computer chip in my head that I don't know about. I don't know. So that would say I've been abducted or something like that. But I don't know that yet. But anyway, so if you are one of those people that do a lot of digging and you have seen stuff like this just happen out of nowhere and you saw it but didn't really think about it until just now, trust me, they are watching us. Believe you me, if we are digging into things that we ain't supposed to be looking at or hearing about, that they want to keep secret, they're going to do whatever they can to scare you, even if it means just flying over your head, and so that you'll know that they are out there watching you. Black helicopters, people, unmarked. If you see a helicopter flying over your head, whether it be a news helicopter or one of them, just look up there and just realize that that's who they are. Okay. I've seen a lot of military helicopters, and sometimes I've seen them in groups where they're doing some kind of training exercise, cut from a base. And I've seen the carriers, you know, with the double propellers, one in the front and one in the back. I've seen that flying over my head, but I've also, like I seen those black unmarked helicopters that they got guns on them. Okay, I've seen those too. Okay, so be careful. I'm not saying they're gonna do something, but if you see that after you done all this digging on the internet or watching all those TV shows or watching or listening to Coast to Coast AM, they know that you're doing it. Trust me. Just like this whole thing about digging into our phones to hear our conversations and all this stuff. If they can do that, they can definitely do this too. Okay. Now, yeah. But anyway, like I said, if you're one of those people that have seen UFOs or have seen flying saucers, had an experience with the unmarked black helicopters, I would love to see a video. So drop me a comment down there. I was known as Hawaii Man 37, but I changed it now. It's just my full name because I'm not scared at all. You know, hey. But drop me a line. If you see my video, I would love to hear what you think. I noticed that a lot of my other viewers gotten a lot of views, so I want to thank you guys for that. I appreciate it. And I will be looking at your videos too. So that lets me know that there are some of y'all out there, whether you've seen ghosts or if you've seen UFOs. And I hope that what I'm telling you will put some insight on what's going on. Okay? the difference between an airplane and a UFO, or to know that the government for some reason thinks that we're gonna have a hissy fit if they were to tell us that, you know, there are aliens out there, because they keep thinking they're gonna cause a panic if they do that. Okay, like I said before, if I didn't say it, I'm saying it now. There are plenty of educated civilians out there that have just as much smarts as the government people that have the same type of education, whether it's in quantum physics or whatever. You have all these people that work at these California universities, they do stuff like this all over the world. I mean, I've heard of cops that went from being a cop to a UFO searcher. Okay, so you got all these people everywhere. We already know about UFOs. We know that they're real. We have seen it. Stop making people think that we're gonna just blow our minds if we find out that there's UFOs out there. We already know. Duh. Use your brains if you got it. You know, I know it's the government. I don't want to talk bad about them, but I'm just saying, we're not stupid. Okay? I know you're not stupid either. If you saw it, you know what you saw, right? I believe you. I'm not going to say you claim you saw. I hate it when they do that on these TV shows. He claims he saw this. She claims she saw that. If we saw it, we saw it. You're going to say that unless you saw it yourself. And then people try to say, they'll try to debunk it, saying, oh, well, that's a plane, a new type of aircraft that they got at a USB. And if you called, another thing, if you see one, do not call the U.S. government, because they're going to be like, okay, we don't have anything like that in the area. Okay, or we haven't been doing any kind of, or they'll tell you that they have been doing some testing, like the Phoenix lights. They tried to say that they had these flares in the sky. Okay, first of all, these were not flares. Flares, they shine bright and they flicker, and plus they drop to the ground. They don't stay in the air for long periods of time. Okay. Once again, we are not stupid. Okay. If we saw it, we saw it. We know what it is. You don't want to tell us? Fine. But we still know that we saw something. I mean, UFOs come in all different sizes. They got UFOs that's probably the size of a Volkswagen. They got UFOs that's probably the size of a freaking bus, like the little long, elongated cigar-shaped ones. Haven't seen one of those yet, but I remember. Oh, it's another experience. I was flying to Hawaii, of all places, my favorite vacation spot. This was back in 07. I always loved looking outside the windows, right? I left it up, and I looked out into the clouds, right? I see this black, object, look like a fin of some sort, and it was following us. But it was way off in the distance, but I still saw it because it was up against the clouds. And all of a sudden, boom! It just vanished. It shot off like that. Okay, I don't know if maybe it saw me looking at it or what. I don't know. But as soon as I started looking at it, it just vanished. Now, when I flying, we had a layover in Phoenix, Arizona. And after that, when we took off an hour later, we was over California. I saw something really weird along the shoreline of California. I saw this disc moving in a circle like this. And I could see this plane, it just kept moving around and around and around and around in a circle. And I didn't see it. I mean, I saw it, but I didn't see it doing anything else. It just kept moving around in a circle. It was really weird. But when it was way up in the air, and I'm flying over the ocean, I'm seeing this black object just following us off in the distance, and it just shot off like that. Weird. Okay, I put that sucker down real quick. So yeah. So like I said, I've seen a lot of things. I heard that there have been some UFO sightings in Hawaii too, like on the Big Island or something like that. One guy had a shot of, he was on a cliffside and he saw like a ball, like a metallic ball moving off like going this way. He caught the whole thing on tape. So if you're out there, I've seen it. I like it. Trust me, and I believe you. But anyway, I am going to end this because I don't want it to be too long. I mean, people kind of get tired of hearing you talk when you have a video here that's this long. But I hope that what I'm telling you can put some insight on what is really out there and how to tell if what you're seeing is what you're seeing. If you saw it, you may be like, try to say, what is that? I don't know what that is. Trust me, if you saw something weird and you can't explain it, that's what it was. It was an alien spacecraft. guarantee I can pretty much vouch for that, because I just know what I know. I've seen it and I believe it. That's all I have to say. If you see it, you can believe it. Don't try to throw it off saying, okay, that was probably this, that was probably that. If you can't explain it, it was an alien spacecraft. So, anyway, I'm gonna go. I just want to thank you guys. I hope that you look at this video, and I hope it's not too long for you, but I just wanted to make sure I put some information out there that can give you some insight on what's really going on, in our government, in our world. Okay, like I said before, the difference between a plane and a UFO. Listen to that part. Okay, now I just hope that you'll see this and you'll like it. I hope that you view it, more than one person views it, especially if you a person that looks at seeing UFOs. If you got videos, I would love to hear it. I would love to see it, because I have been watching them. So I want to applaud everybody who puts that out there. But if you are a person that has seen it, if you don't have any videos, put a video out there telling the person what you saw, word for word, if you can remember the details. Okay, so I just want to say aloha, mahalo, ahuiho, which means till we meet again. Peace.